This is okay, there we go. Starting with World Ditty. What do you do when you don't feel good? How do you get better? Often we try to do what we should, but we still fall under the weather. Then there are those whom we love very much who get so much sicker than that. Anxiety and arthritis, loneliness, obesity, and sadness. You should do some healing of yourself. You are unlike anybody else. Your heart and your mind and your dreams you will find do not come from a box on the shelf. Do some healing of your heart. Honest words are a start. Break it open, you will find it won't fall apart. We've grown accustomed to all of our pills, to our pants getting a little too tight. We still are stressed out and tired all day, then we don't sleep well at night. I wish we'd slow it all down and relax, but we still need to make our way. Feed ourselves, keep our jobs, live our lives, but what I'm asking you today is to do some healing of yourself. You are unlike anybody else. Your heart and your mind and your dreams you will find do not come from a box on the shelf. Do some healing of your heart. Honest words are a start. Break it open, you will find it won't fall apart. Be brave, make waves, say out loud most everything you wish. People heal when you deal with the feelings that you feel, so do some healing of yourself. You are unlike anybody else. Your heart and your mind and your dreams you will find do not come from a box on the shelf. Do some healing of your heart. Honest words are a start. Break it open, you will find it won't fall apart. Remember that time when somebody lied. Remember that time that you cried and you had to slow down and wait 'cause things went great. Those were all chances to heal. So I wrote this show because I feel like we're all such a miserable bunch of whiny crybabies. And I feel like we live in a culture where our stress and anxiety and things that go wrong for us, we don't have a really good ethic or way to deal with them. We're kind of like the go around it, not through it culture. And so because I avoid sugar and I don't own a television and I love kale, I felt that I was qualified. Famous for the kale, I know. So tonight I'm going to walk you through what I call the process of healing, what I've kind of figured out, at least in my years, and I've broken it into convenient 5 points because of Mitt Romney, who did that. I put on the radio that night and it was like, he has 5-point plan, we're going to hear about the 5-point plan. He has 5 points for America, 5 points for... And I was like, God, he is good, the 5 points. He didn't win, but I'm going to go with it because I was totally intrigued by the 5 points. So there we go, we have 5 points tonight. But before I get to them, I would like to kind of warm us up with a few thoughts, a few stories. First one is my brother and sister both went to a very nice Catholic school here in town called Seattle University. And it's a requirement for freshmen at the school to take an intro to philosophy class, and it's taught by Jesuit priests. And my brother and sister took the same one, and I remember them both telling me this story that the first day of class, the same priest that they took the class from wrote 3 words on the board, and they were, "Life is hard." That's how he started every class. And it wasn't meant to dishearten his students, but it was the basis for every conversation they were going to have for the rest of the quarter, because once you accepted that fact, then you could build and be free to sort of cope, if you will, in all these different ways that they were going to explore. But I always thought that was really bold and cool. Life is hard. But I also believe, just interestingly enough, that I do believe that's true, and I believe it's a big reason why teenagers are hard to deal with, because they're just figuring this out. They're just starting to have some adult experiences that are challenging, and it's like, you can just hear it, they're like, "So I told him that I liked him, and he was cute, and he said maybe we could be friends." Oh, I've totally been there. That one sucks. Yes. And that is going to happen again. I hate to say it. It's not going to happen once. That sucks. I know. Or I don't like getting up and going to work. My boss is an idiot and I'm tired. Welcome to grown-up land. And I was also thinking, I'm sure it's funny, I bet to 90-year-olds, 40-year-olds are annoying. It's like, you have a driver's license and wear your own underpants. What? Gray hair and wrinkles. I'll show you gray hair and wrinkles. So, turns out everybody looking back before, people before them was like, just get over it. But that said, I think that in every challenge we have, there is a message, and there's always something that we can learn. We may not get better because it may have a few scars, but we'd usually, if we accept and go through it, as I was saying, we're a little more confident, a little more self-assured, a little more relaxed, a little more humble, a little more appreciative. And then if we avoid it, I think that's when we can get a little down, a little lonely, a little depressed, a little frustrated, a little mad. So in my opinion, there's always the opportunity to go after it and start over with wherever we're at. And I do think that I notice people also who are really good at it. And I'm reminded of honey badger. And for those of you who don't know, who've been gone the last whatever many years, it's a YouTube video of this little animal in the wild and this crazy guy talking about how honey badger don't give a shit. Anything, right? And it's just this sort of thing where people who have been through a lot and they're just like, and I'd eat maggots for 7 years and they're kicking me in the stomach every day. I think this soup tastes fine. It's just they're not necessarily mad, but they definitely are stop whining. That's kind of their message, right? And I like people like that. So before we get into phase 1, I just have one more quote I want to share that I love, that I am embarrassed that I like it because it's from Tony Robbins. If you don't know, he's on KCTS9, he's inspirational, 6'8", and he's always pumping us up, trying to get us to live a good life. But I do love it because he says, what did he say? He says, success in life is a result of good judgment is usually a result of experience, and experience is usually a result of bad judgment. Which is to say, to set the tone, it's not about being perfect, it's about learning from what you go through. So, all right, who's ready for phase 1? I was joking that I need to have somebody, in the boxing matches, the woman walks around. I want to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Speedo, just being here, show me the girl. I don't have, we'll work on that for the next round. Taking volunteers. So phase 1 I call, everything's fine. Because in my mind, it's the moment in your life where somebody's so how are things? And you're everything's fine. And probably it is. It's for sure, it's when you're a kid at the breakfast table and you have those little footy pajamas on, you got Cheerios and there's cartoons and your brothers and sisters are around and you're going to play with your dog at the park all day. That is just the epitome of everything's fine. But I think even as adults, there's moments where you're in love, you have a good job, you have money in the bank, you have a place to live, people are nice to you, We have these kind of moments of comfort and balance. And so the thing that I will say that's funny a little bit about this to me is a lot of times people will be everything's fine, normal. I just want to take a poll. Who here thinks they're normal? Nobody's going to raise their hands now because they're I don't want to. I just think we are all so weird, and I totally throw myself in that. I try to avoid using the word normal to describe my. I do one-woman shows, that is not. So, normal. Okay, Okay, so everything's fine. I actually came up with a little ditty about everything's fine. It's very short. I kind of imagine like Bob Dylan sitting on some grass by a stream in the sun playing this short song. I guess I need to bring this back over. This is my personal tech efforts tonight. Show that. 4 quick lines about everything's fine. Here we go. In Bob's style. Everything's fine with me today. The sun is shining, I feel okay. I'm just passing the time away because everything's fine with me today. I don't know if Bob Dylan goes cross-eyed a lot. I felt inspired to do that. I don't know what that was. Oh, sorry, Bob. Sorry about that. So as everything's fine, I would say for the purposes of our evening, I'm going to tell a little story to you guys, and we'll start it in my junior year of college is sort of my everything's fine moment. And the real breakthrough I had had by my junior year was I had learned how to make friends. Seems really like crazy to people when I tell them I didn't have a lot of friends. My first 2 years of college, and some of you know this, but I was raised in a very Catholic conservative home, and when I went to college, I was really only allowed to find other very Catholic conservatives as friends, because Catholic means universal. Everybody's Catholic, they just don't know it yet. That's how I was raised. So either you bring them into the fold or you just push them away. Those are your 2 options. But it was handy when someone was already, knew how to say the rosary, kind of like in the club. So my first years of college, a little lonely. But I had some good things happen, and one of them was taking an improvisational theater class where I learned about accept offers, don't block. That was really like mind-opening for me. And then I also went abroad, which kind of just cleansed my brain and my perception of life. And so I was back on campus, had friends, and that were not Catholic, and I was kind of walking along, and I remember this one particular sunny day, like midwinter, just waving to people and heading into this main part of campus. So that's sort of my everything's fine moment. Like I was feeling groovy, feeling healthy, feeling cute in my outfit. You know what I mean? Those moments. So the way you get out of everything's fine and into phase 2 is that something bursts your bubble. It can be anything like a pain in the neck that doesn't go away, or suddenly you have to pay for a car repair that empties your bank account, whatever it is. But usually something bursts your bubble. And so for me, in this moment, actually, now I'm going to tell you that. Yes. So my friend Blythe, whose name means happy, kind of an interesting character. She led a daily rosary group on campus, by the way. It's a very early friend of mine. So I hadn't seen her in a while, and I came back from being abroad, and I'm walking on campus, right? And I'm like, hey, Blythe, what's up? And so Blythe's pre-med. She's very scientifically minded, very sort of black and white in her thinking, and a kind of critical person. And she's half Mexican, and that was her excuse for her tendency to say exactly what she was thinking, or in my family, what we call rude. You shouldn't comment on people gaining weight. That's not polite. So Blythe looks at me and she goes, "Are you jaundiced?" She's like showing off her pre-med, right? She had totally interned into some liver problems. Now I'd flirted with sunless tanning cream during this time. But that stuff turns you orange, not yellow. Okay, so maybe I was wearing, I don't know. My mom was concerned about how pale I was going to school in California. She's like, you need to perk up, Bridge. So, but at the time, though, it definitely stuck out. I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was pre-med as well, and I was like, you're picking on my liver right now. But I just kind of locked it away, and I was like, no, I don't think so, but I hope you have a good day. Thanks. See you at Rosary Club. No, I didn't. I actually never attended. I was just like, go Blythe. So apparently I was looking a little yellow, and at the time she was actually on to something, but I didn't know it. So that would have been my little bubble burst, and I was heading into the next phase, which I call, I don't feel so good. So this is like when something is not going well physically or in your life to the point where you kind of can't ignore it. It's like that back pain that's like you've tried every stretch and it's just not going away, or like I said, your bank account drops down a few notches, and in my family, how we handle people asking us how we are at this moment is you just say, hey, how you doing? Just like, oh, fine. You just hold out the eye, fine. It's a very Northwest thing. And if you're my Aunt Anne, then you add in, gosh. Fine, gosh. And that covers like any number of horrible things. I'm not sure about my marriage, we're running out of money, one of my kids is about to die, like it could be anything. So that's how we handle my family. And I would say that in our culture, it's not like, yay, tell me all your problems. That's really not what people are looking for. And we all, I think as Americans, try to come off as not whiny and also very capable. And we're all together and everything's fine. So, but in reality, when you're in the I don't feel so good phase, sometimes it can be a little lonely and you're kind of looking for people to befriend, blah, blah, blah. Well, I had in my time, my everything's fine phase. I know I was going to say that. So the everything's, I don't feel so good for me was my senior year, basically. I started to get very, 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 very tired. I was really tired, like icky tired, like don't want to move tired. And I had a pretty serious sports injury early in the year. I tried out for the cross country team at my college and made it on for a brief period, but I basically shredded every muscle in my hips apparently while I was doing it. And so I was just sort of in this funky, not as healthy place. I had a fun year, but I was sort of struggling. And at the time, my pre-medness was a little shaky, but I did end up going to medical school, sort of flash forward. And before I got there, when I was there, I actually had trouble, some of you know this, but with seizure activity. So I was getting very, 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 very sick. Everything was not fine, and I did not feel good. And I actually ended up managing to flunk out of medical school because my brain was so freaking fried that I couldn't remember anything when I came to my tests. Literally, I was tired and could not remember what I just studied. So I left medical school, flash forward a little bit, and I ended up at this camp down in Lake Tahoe as a manager, thinking that with my minimal health, I could still pull off this job of managing 45 smelly hippies out in the woods. It was like the land of patchwork pants and fish followers. To smoke dope 50 different ways. It's so crowd I had not hung with before. This is my I don't feel so good scene. But anyways, that was fairly challenging time, to say the least. And I would say that the thing that you can do in this moment, if you're sort of fortunate and you pay attention, because I think when we get these things where we don't feel so great, there's often something coming with them that is sort of a chance for us to open up and hopefully like a little guidance, I would say, if I may. And I have a happy example of this, which was when my shoulder was bothering me. I'm in the tech industry, so we like to say it's got a tech industry. Basically means I sit on my ass all day and stare at a computer. That's what that means. And it's not the healthiest situation. So I was getting really tight in my shoulders. And this is a different time in my life, but I really, really, really didn't want to go to yoga because I judged women who went to yoga. Flippin' Lululemon outfits. And I was like, you're not an athlete. Okay, you go stretch. Right? I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to yoga. But turns out there's this yoga studio in my neighborhood, and I was like, fine, I'll go once. And I just got my butt kicked. It was like some sort of heated superpower yoga, and I was like, wow, it was awesome. Fell asleep, bought some Lululemon pants. Yeah. But and of course it helped my hips and my sleeping better, and I felt more toned and good in all these ways. I made new friends. So it was like, that's an example of kind of popping from I don't feel so good back into everything's fine. But in my case, when I was down at this hippie camp, no, it wasn't. It was actually my college's camp, but in the seasonal crowd, it was a lot of hippie vibe. I was really not doing well. I was like, every organ system seemed to be freaking out, and I found out during that time that I was dealing with very high levels of heavy metals in my body. I went to a naturopath who told me I was amazed I was alive, considering all this detox my body was doing, mercury, arsenic, blah, blah. Don't know how I got it, but at any rate, I don't feel so good. When I don't feel so good, goes really poorly, then you fall into phase 3, which is total darkness. So I'm 23 and I can't poop. they test that your liver doesn't work because your cells, we all get this test when we go to the doctor, and it's for liver enzymes because, I think I'm right on this, your cells literally are dying, your liver's dying, cells are breaking open and falling into your bloodstream and releasing their contents, and they test for that. And mine were like off the charts, like zoomy zoom zoom, like what's going to happen with her liver. And when your liver doesn't work, lots of things don't go well because there's like 300 things that your liver does like 3 million times a day. Like it's the most hardworking organ. It's incredible if you study it. And it's really important for your digestion and motility. Yes, that's right. So I was just having a horrible time in lots of ways. I might have had seizures and I was tired and all these things. And so here I was down at this camp, this land of like fun and happiness in Tahoe and all these joyful frickin' dope smokers and me. And I had the experience before I left Seattle to go down here when I first went to that nature path where he was like, whoa, you are super toxic. So we're going to do a colonic. That's what he tells me. And I was like, I'd never heard of one. I was like, wow, I have no idea what this is. But at the time I felt so horrible to the point where I was like, either do that or shoot me. I was so ill. I like didn't feel good at all, right? I just wanted to get out of my body. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever you do. And this nice man took me in the room and did the procedure. And I didn't necessarily feel better one way or the other, and I left for Tahoe. But eventually it got to the point where I needed help with this situation. And so I recalled the colonic thing. And this is a very old-fashioned way of dealing with it. I ate as much fiber as I could, but I was like, this is not working. So I found this woman in a place called Carson City, Nevada, which is just kind of up over the hill from Tahoe. It's like an hour and a half drive from where I was at, named Julia. And her mother, this little German lady, would serve me tea when I got there, and she was a colon hydrotherapist. And I would go to her twice a month. And this is how I survived. It was not fun. And at the time, it was like kind of a long drive. It's fairly expensive. If you want to have a good living, go into colon hydrotherapy. The per hour they're charging is pretty high. I'm telling you, it's a tough job, So I do some research online, and I find out that there is something that's called a home colonic unit. I'm like, oh, this might be the ticket for me. So I order it. And mind you, this sounds really crazy, but like I was desperately ill. Like you can't imagine how hard it was for me to go day to day. Like I'm not the person, today. I was very, very tired and very sick. And so I get the big box, run in town, get my big home colonic unit and bring it back. And I set it up in my room. And mind you, here's the scene. I am living on a gorgeous, 3-mile lake just south of Lake Tahoe, where the stars shine at night and everybody's beautiful. And I'm living in these old cabins right by the lake. Like John Steinbeck helped build some just down the road. And it's like all locked in together wood, whatever you call that, like old growthy, fancy, old, and so pretty. And I should be scoring hot Tahoe dudes. You know what I mean? I should be in a whole different zone of happiness. This should be great for me. And instead, I'm trying to wrestle my new home colonic, which has a lot of tubes that I figure out, right? It's rubber tubes and lots, and there's switches, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna be tough. Now, mind you, no one knows really what I'm going through. This is not something I've announced to the group. I'm kind of trying to maintain my cool. Actually, I have to tell you this is a funny moment with my staffers. This one kid, Jason, he was patchwork pants guy. He had corduroy patchwork pants, and he was so thin, and they were always hanging off. And I remember he and his girlfriend, who of course had blonde dreads down to here, came to me on a Thursday just to paint a little picture, and they were like, so Bridge, Fish is playing in Maine this weekend? Right, we're in Tahoe. Fish is playing in Maine this weekend. We really want to go to the show, So we were thinking we could leave tonight on a red eye, and then we'll be back Sunday, so we're just gonna fly there and go to the show and come back. Is that cool? We had a huge group coming that weekend, and as I recall, I actually let him go, and I got so much trouble. They're like, "Are you kidding? You let him go?" And I was like, "He really seemed to want to." So I had to cover all his shifts. It was like, oh well. At any rate, so here I am, and I just sort of feeling a little lonely, me and my colonic unit, but I got it working. Which I was very excited about, because it actually cost me quite a bit of money, but compared to driving to Carson City to hang out with Julie and her mom, it was much better. So I'm going pretty good with my new equipment, and then one night, real late. It was like after 11. I was tired, but I just didn't feel good. I was like, oh, I should probably do that. So I go in there, and one of the hoses from me just pops out of the machine, like in a bad way. Like this is like there was glue applied by the factory, and I just like dislodged it. So I'm like, oh no. So here I am, not feeling real good. Like 11:15 at night, wrestling this fucking machine, trying to get the tube in, trying to get the water to flow, and I'm really starting to lose it. And who lives right next to me? But the one man at camp who could help me the most. He's like the camp handyman, right? His name is Bobby. And Bobby is like a 6'6" Adonis. He is pure muscle and tan, rippling, gorgeous manhood. Like he is so incredible to just look at, right? It's like long flowing mane, and he kind of pulls it back, and his calves are like the size of my thighs, and he's just always kind of strutting around camp, you know, with like a tool belt full of things. So Bobby's wall to his place is on the other side of my bathroom, and I'm thinking he's probably over there like, what's with all the flushing and banging? Like I should be showing up at his door in like not enough pajamas or something. It's totally wrong. So I start to get more and more disheartened. Flipping machine's not working. And so I have to tell you, this is how I frame this moment. So I feel that there are tile floor stories for people. This is the moment where stuff is just so wrong that you end up on the tile floor just bawling your eyes out. My example of this, if you read the book Eat, Pray, Love, I'm sure some people are putting the connection. Elizabeth Gilbert, the author, writes about spending night after night after night on a bathroom floor crying because she's unhappy in her marriage and she doesn't want to get pregnant and all this stuff. So this is my tile floor moment, and this is the moment where you are so alone and so totally humbled. This is the total darkness that all you can do is lay there and bawl, which is exactly, here I was in like mess of water, pants kind of halfway down on the floor, bawling. This is my darkest hour, and it's the total like call to change though. Like this is like, okay, something's got to give because I'm obviously not in the right place for myself to thrive. And I think it's interesting that Native American cultures kind of make this happen, right? At least you hear about for their young men, they would like send them out into the woods for, I don't know, indefinite period of time, 4 days, or just survive and basically get the poop scared out of them and have to find their own food and live on their own. And it was like this rite of passage, right? So I'm sort of a believer that in these moments we get the opportunity to really grow and really get to know ourselves. So my tile floor moment, I've told you now, and so that's total darkness in a nutshell, complete humility and openness to the moment. And so that's phase one. What was phase one? Everything's fine. Phase two was I don't feel so good. And we just went through total darkness. And now, special gift to all of you. We're going to go to an intermission where you can all get more beer. But before we do, my sister Anne is going to bring me a bowl of papers that you guys all wrote on. I can't actually see, by the way. They're all little silhouettes of people. She's over there. I can hear her. Thanks, Anne. My sister Anne, everybody. Hey! Our usher for the night. Okay, so I don't know if all of you know this, but I promised to write us a song at intermission. I'm going to kick out something original in less than 10, 15 minutes. So therefore, your expectations should be right on your If I like speak one word and strum a chord, you better be happy. All right. So the way this works is, I don't know, because we're just going to make it up. I was thinking I could just pick a few, and then we'll just decide. So the idea is one of these topics will be the subject matter of song, or maybe we can blend a few together. All right, and grab one. Here we go. Gardening. Did I write that? Okay, I do love gardening. We'll pick three, and then we'll see. Silence. We are in Seattle. Look at the I'll show you how to heal. It's not meditation, all right? Excuse me. Forgot to mention silence. I'm not a fan. Advil. There it is. Somebody's honest. Give me a pill. All right. What I'm going to attempt to do is blend Advil, gardening, and silence. Are we in?
I don't know. I mean, Bridget Quigg. I can tell. When I'm at the dentist, Michelle,
You play the music.
All the tools that are just
Okay, people, I blame this on you. Where this came from. Let's see. Just a moment, we let the muse speak. Okay, this is first. Did I lose a paper on my way out here? Sorry, one moment. Technical. At least I haven't had a wardrobe failure, so we're. Poor Janet Jackson. Did I say that was a wardrobe failure, right? That's what they called it. Oops. All right. So the trick is, can I read my handwriting? But I think it's not that long of a song, so I'll just make it up if I miss a beat. All right, we're here, we're there. Okay, thank you. I'm not plugged in. Just doing real good here. Am I okay? Yeah?
Go, Boo, go!
All right, so I was talking to the tech lady. I'm sure I'm okay, don't worry. But thanks for the cheers. It's nice. So much love in this room. All right. You ready? Woo! Gardening, silence, and Advil. Here we go. It's a little bit much. All right. Little flower, so small and cute. I came out here to talk to you. Didn't know just what to do, but I thought that you could tell me. Been a while since I seen my mom. Lots of years since she's been gone. I've managed to carry on without her smile beside me. But silence is not my friend today. If I could, I'd give it away. But I know that it could heal me, even though it doesn't thrill me. That's why I came your way. More somber than you expected. Okay, that's what came out. Little flower, I have a pill. One will help me deal. Got it from a guy on the bus. I think his name was Gus. That rhymed! Try and match that. He said he takes them a lot, but one was all he's got. I paid $50 for it, but I see that it's just Advil. Silence is not my friend today. And if I could, I'd give it away. But I know that it could heal me. That's even though it doesn't thrill me. That's why I came your way. Oh, wait, chord transition. Flower, I'm better now. You see, you're my very best pal. I'm gonna move on now and go play with real people. I promise to bury the pill, toss it out and use my will. 'Cause the silence did me well and I enjoyed my time with you. Silence was my friend today. It came through when I didn't throw it away, and I knew that it could heal me, and it sure didn't thrill me, but I'm glad I came your way. I'm glad I came your way. I like that. Fresh from the dome. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Very kind, very receptive. I totally talk to flowers sometimes, so I thought maybe someone would find that too strange. All right. What phase are we on? 4. Gosh, you're smart too. I'd say you're good looking, but I can't see you, so I'm sorry. I'm really smart. Phase 4. Phase 4, I refer to as the void. Sounds just as awful as I don't feel so good in total darkness, which kind of is. But so the void is a concept that was explained to me when I was going through my challenging times, and I understand it to be it's the time when you have nothing, where you used to have something, but you don't know what's coming next. So it's sort of like, letting go of old things, kind of being in this neutral space, but not really knowing what's coming. And I would say after a tile floor moment, typically you're kind of in this place you call the void. People definitely relate to it who have had a breakup. Because it's like, I ain't got nobody to hug, but I sure don't feel good. So what's coming next? How am I going to feel better? So for me, I started off my void moment with packing up the little Honda Civic hatchback I had at the time, putting all my stuff in it, strapping the colonic machine to the top, and the tubes coming out. Put in my Swampophilia Indigo Girls tape. When you are feeling things, you just put that in and waterworks. It's like, whoa! The wood song is like the most healing song on the planet. I do have to say that of all the healing things you learned tonight, it's like, if you can just have a good cry, you just saved yourself like $5,000 in therapy. I swear. Crying is awesome. Never hold back a cry. So I drove home to Seattle, left behind Bobby, for one. I had this cool job. If only he knew. I had this cool job as a Nordic ski instructor at Squaw Valley, and my boss was going to be this woman who got a silver medal in the Olympics, and Nordic skiing was going to try and train me up and see if I could, be a competitive athlete in Nordic skiing. I mean, all this cool stuff, basically, like bye-bye Tahoe, bye-bye all my fun hippie staff, all of it. I left it behind. It was hard to do. And I was already thinking real seriously about not going back to medical school. And I made my way back to Seattle and basically came to a time in my life where I was clearing out and cleaning out. I would say it's a lot about the void is about, like, you just learned something really dramatic. You just learned you got to get rid of some things, and now it's time to do so, like do the work. And in my case, I also found one thing that was very helpful in moving through the void is something I refer to as clutter clearing. Sort of a popular concept, right? And we think of it as like throwing out old pants that don't look good on us anymore, but it's also like removing, like maybe changing relationships that don't serve you, getting out of jobs that don't feel right, whatever it is. So I'm a big fan of clutter clearing, so much so that I wrote a rap for you tonight. And I just have to tell you a little bit about my inspiration for the rap so you can really appreciate it. I was actually in this theater watching someone else perform recently, and they showed video of Mr. T doing his mother rap. Somebody remember this from the 80s, and it's like, this is like his dance move, because he's like so muscular, he can't move. And it's treat your right, treat your mother right. And he like sings out this spell out, like M is for mom, who is so cool. O is for amazing. Whatever, I don't know. So, keeping that in mind, this is my clutter rap. I gotta change the lights. It's coming. I'm just hanging out. So my rapper name is Rapper Snippy, because I got scissors on my hat for snipping things. Get them out of our lives. All right, see that? I made that. Okay. Oh, they're there. That's what I love that. All right. It's serious. All right. It's time to get real. It's time to get straight. It's time to get with it. It's never too late. What's that stuff up in your closet? When you gonna get down on it. Last year's fat pants weighing you down. 1985 Burger King crown. You don't like, and then I gotta fix that gear shift bike. Clutter's a problem that we all have. It's easy to collect and it makes us feel bad. One thing that you want to give it all back, well, I have some advice. Go on the attack. Toss it out, huck it, give it away. Let it all go or you will pay with stress and flab and unhappiness. No room for stuff when you have guests. One thing I can do for you, I'm gonna spell out clutter clearing. Here we go. C is for confused, which is how you feel. L is for loosen up so you can deal. U is unreal because you think your stuff is cool. Double T, toss it out, pity the fool. Well, not Mr. T. E is for everyone. Give your stuff away, and ours a revolution that we're starting today. Clutter is cruel. It's not kind. Give it away so you can unwind. I remember the last line in just a moment. I remember when I tossed out, ready for this? Clutter, clutter, clutter. Clutter, clutter, clutter. Sticks to your life like gloppy butter. Okay, I remember the other one. I liked that one. Everyone wants to see you happy, so give it away. Snip, snap, snap. All my clutter bugs in the house. So, just for your education, I happen to know quite the clutter coach, my sister. She was actually a member of the National Association of Professional Organizers at one point. I have fun parties. I have only 3 things in my closet. But there's like these basic principles, right, that she has taught people, and I picked up on. Great book, Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. I got it at Jamba Juice. It's like a little self-healing bookstore, you know. But one of the main principles is if something makes you feel great, keep it. Or if you've used it recently. But if you haven't used it recently and it doesn't make you feel great, then toss it out. And I actually have told a little story. My very devout Catholic grandmother who had her children do the rosary every night before they went to bed and was very thoughtful about a lot of things. She actually saw holding on to stuff you don't need really is like a sin, because there were people out there who needed your stuff. And when my grandpa passed away, she literally cleaned and pressed all of his clothing, gave each son one tie. Mind you, she had 5 of them, so they passed them out. And now there's a bunch of kids in Hopeland, Washington with awesome plaid pants cruising, you know? Tall guys. But anyways, it was, you know, the idea of giving it away. So I had some clutter clearing moments when I was in the void. Some of you might be familiar with a couple of them, but this one is kind of a weird one, but it was good for me. I had all these photo books from college, right? All these pictures I'd taken, very neatly organized through the years. And I was really getting bothered by them, because here I was, living at mom's as a barista, not making a lot of cash, going to lots of medical appointments, healing appointments. And meanwhile, my friends from college were like consulting in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Hong Kong, actually successfully attending medical school or finishing up their Fulbrights in Sweden. You know what I mean? Like, this was like the crowd I was dealing with. I was like, well, I just feel like crap. Oh, really good. So I needed to sort of let go of, I was looking at the pictures of the young woman in these pictures, and I just envied her too much. I was like, I just need to realize this is where I'm at, and I need to move on. So I went to the transfer station in Fremont, right? That place where the guy's down in the garbage in the cage with like the front hoe pushing the garbage around. Am I the only person who's been there? I find it fascinating. Garbage. And I went up to there's these little misters that mist out over the garbage, kind of keep it down. And I just tossed my photo books into the garbage bins, which seems crazy. And at the time I was like, I'm obviously insane and way too depressed. But it did turn out to be a marking point of time to move forward. And then the other thing I did, which I know more than one person here knows, that I shaved my head at one point. This is the point. But the story of it I love, because I went up to the one place in Seattle I figured for sure it'd be easy to get my head shaved, which is Broadway. Someone on Broadway will shave my head. I'm not going to go to like Gene Juarez or something. So I go to Great Clips. I don't want to spend a lot. So I Great Clips on like a Sunday morning. And I wrestled with this decision. Like I was like, no, I definitely don't want to do this. You know, I kind of one of those things where I came home in about, in the fall, late fall, like November, and then this was like right around February or something. I was like, hey, I really want to shave my head. I want to shave my head. And I was like, no, I'm not going to shave my head. So me and myself talked about this. But anyways, I made it all the way to the place because I was like so sick of this terrible decision I was trying to make. It's like, screw it, it's hair, I don't care. And actually, there's a theory that metals, collect in our hair. It's one way they test for them. So some people think maybe I did it to make myself actually feel better. I have no idea. So anyways, I get to the Great Clips, and I start negotiating with this woman who is very frightened. I think it makes it worse when the person who's asking you to shave their head has so much hair. You are not going to like this. Anyway, so she and I are negotiating, kind of trying to butter her up and be like, what, I won't hurt you. It's a good thing. And in walks a dad and 2 kids. So it's like 3-year-old little girl and a 5-year-old boy, right? And it's like totally that, mom's getting a morning off sort of thing. Dad's going to take kids to get haircuts. So I'm sitting down in the chair. We're getting ready to do this, right? And so she gets out and starts, a little puppy starts to form on the floor. She removes my masses of curls, and then like, the clippers come on. And she starts shaving my head, and you hear the little girl go, Dad, why did that lady cut all her hair off? Poor father, right? And I don't know what he said because he whispered it, but I'm sure he's like, she's crazy. And crazy people do that. You'll never do that. Mommy and I love you. You'll never do that. That was my head shave. And it was, of course, dramatic. I came home, put a towel on my head, and my mom walked in. I was like, you're not going to like this. And that was sort of my experience. I was a barista. I was like now the crazy, edgy barista. Should have gotten a tattoo while I was at it. But anyways, I was giving things away, like my hair. And it was a good thing. The void is a good thing. And I just basically rearranged my life. I let go of med school. And then other good things started to come in, right? And that's when you're starting to move out of phase 4. And a really great example of this for me is a story that some people here might be familiar with, but there was a particular night after the head shave in late May, June. So this is the really long nights, right? These are beautiful, long, kind of warm nights where the days just seem to go on. And I was in a real bad mood. I was frustrated with where I was at because part of healing when you have a lot to detox is that you really crave fats. A lot of times they kind of encourage you to eat a lot of fat because it keeps all this junk from heading into your brain, basically. So I'd put on a little weight. I would say I was about 30 pounds heavier than I am right now. I had almost no hair. And wasn't really in touch with my friends. Just life was not good. I wasn't feeling that happy. So I had grown, and one thing I grew into in the void was my intuition a little bit more, right? We have these intuitive thoughts that come to us. I believe all of us have it available to us at all times, and I was getting in the hang of kind of fostering, getting the experience. Sometimes I'll just now I'll lay down and just get quiet for a minute, and then I kind of figure out the next thing I want to do. And I had learned that when I listened to the little voice in my head, it took me to scary places, but it got me Great Clips on But it tended to be things that actually helped me out in the long run, tough decisions, but good ones. So in this moment of frustration, it was a Friday night, and I think that was extra stingy because I was like, I'm 23 and I'm not hanging out with anybody, right, on Friday night. So I had my idea of what I wanted to do. I was going to go downtown and try and close at Old Navy. This is what came to me, okay? I'm like, far out, all right. So I had on this kind of one of them, you have a matted fleece. Everybody in Seattle knows this. It's they're supposed to be kind of fluffy, and instead they get old and matted and melted in one area. I had on these khaki shorts that were real dirty from Tahoe, and dirty shoes, and I had no hair, and I was really sporting a not so pretty look. And so I was like, screw it, this is what I'm wearing. I don't care. care about anything. I'm mad at everyone, everything. So I was like, and I'm, by the way, walking downtown because I'm so in need of just like a break, and I know walking's good for me. So I'm about ready to leave, and this is leaving from like way down on Madison Avenue to walk all the way downtown. And my sister happened to be around. She's like, I'm going downtown. Just let me give you a ride. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to give her a ride. So I get in the car, and I like can't even stand being near her. I'm like, oh my God, I just need to be alone. Oh, I hate this. So I get out at 12th and Madison. I'm like, just let me out of the car, and I walk the rest of the way to Old Navy. And this is when Old Navy, by the way, is now where Forever 21 is. We're 6th and Pike. Busy, busy area. Not that it's not in a busy spot now. And so I go in, pick out a few things, take them to the dressing room, try them on. Everything looks horrible. Horrible. Like, I just like look in the mirror and just like, oh man, I'm just not in a good place. So I put everything back on the hangers, hand it to this guy who was like outside the dressing room, like took your stuff. He looks at me and he goes, thanks, buddy. Well, it helped, because at that point, tears start projectiling out of my tear ducts. Like, like, I have to cry now, so I'm in Old Navy and there's people, and I'm like, running to the escalator and running downstairs. And I just want to be alone, and of course I'm at 6th and Pike on like a beautiful night. Cut past Barnes, head towards the convention center. It's like, I gotta get out of here. And so I have my next hit, thank you, crazy voice in my head, which is, rather than taking the sort of more safe way home, I want to walk straight up over Madison Avenue. Now, it's not like the scariest place, but at a certain time, 20th and Madison wasn't really where you wanted to be at night by yourself, whatever. So, but it's very clear to me that that is sort of where I feel like going. So I make my way, right? I'm like snotty and gross, and I'm sitting place and weeping. It's just like really emotional, and I'm making my way. It's just like getting up Madison, and I get to near 23rd and Madison, and there's a church there that I'd always been curious about. So I was raised, like super American Catholic, where you just like sing real neutral, soft songs, and everybody holds hands, very calm, right? And I always want to go to what you would call black church and like get down. I want to get down. I want to be like praising and clapping and just like doing the whole thing and like shout. And I had never had that experience. And so here I was at this church, and I could see the lights were on. So it started to get dark, and there's kind of this orange glow coming through the windows. And I, of course, little voice is like, go to the stairs, But I was feeling very drawn. So I get to the stairs at the bottom, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going there. And I'm still like very weepy and very upset. But I managed to get myself up the stairs, and there's doors just a little open, so I peek through. And inside are about 8 people. And they're singing together. And one woman in particular is this tall, muscular, beautiful, like ebony dark woman, just belting. She is literally sweating and singing her guts out. And I am here like having like such a moment where I just wanted to like sit and cry and feel healing. And I was like, I just gotta hear that. That just looks amazing. This is exactly what I've always wanted to try. So I was like, I kind of sneak in, and I get in the very back pew in the very back corner, and I sit down, I kind of tuck, and I cry. This is me, it's me in the back. Crazy no hair person. And I get a little bit of time there, right? And I'm totally enjoying this moment of beautiful music. And pretty soon, I feel a hand on my shoulder, and a voice says, come with me, the pastor wants to pray for you. And I go, no, it's kind of the head shake, because I'm just like totally not in speech mode. And now, come with me. You come here for a reason. Pastor wants to pray for you. So it's literally this thing where this person grabs my hand, and I kind of walk behind. So it turns out we go all the way to the front. We're right in the middle, in front of everybody, and I'm standing with a man I find out is Brother Charles. Brother Charles is in a suit. He's tall, strong, good-looking guy, and he is handing me Kleenex. And I'm like, I like you. He's skinny, though. That's great. So everybody's singing around me now. So it's like, oh boy. But I kind of am so like absorbed in the moment that I was like, I kind of recognize that I'm in an odd situation. Whatever. That's where I am. That's where the voice took me. So the singing gets pretty intense. Like people are really into it. And I can tell it's like, and I'm literally like so tired that I actually got down at one point and just sit on the floor. They're just still singing. Brother Charles, give me the Kleenex. And eventually, I'm asked to stand up and make my way up to talk to the Reverend. So I get up there, and he said, son, what's your name? Bridget. Richard? That's what's happening. There's like 10 questions he's running through with me. And I not speak a word, so I'm just like, Like, I don't want to like have a debate. I don't really care. Like, it's fine. Okay, we're doing this. And then the place goes nuts. It's like after that's done, the music really cranks up, and I go and I'm asked to stand kind of in the middle again, and there's literally a woman off to my side on her back, like shaking and like kind of kicking the floor, and like there's all kinds of dancing. It's like, it's awesome. It is like the most happy, vibrant moment. Everyone is just thrilled, and they're expressing it through music and clapping, and it is just amazing, right? So eventually Brother Charles tells me I can come back and sit in this pew, right? And I got my own box of Kleenex, so this is going good. So I'm literally like vibrating with the excitement of this moment, right? And this woman gets up to speak. Now she is really like old to the point where you can't kind of figure out how old she is. Very, very ebony dark skin, very thin, very, very kind of stick skinny, and she is wearing pure white clothes of all kinds. So she's got big white floppy hat, big white glasses, white dress with a white coat and white pumps, and white bracelet, white necklace. I mean, so she's sort of this big contrast and just powerful. This is a very powerful person. So she gets up and she starts talking about prayer. When you break your toilet and the plumber come and fix it, that's prayer. When you need to cross the street and somebody helps you, that's prayer. I prayed and I fasted all week. I remember her doing that exactly. All week for a soul to come in here tonight and look. She points at me. And so the pastor thanks her. That's good. And he says, "Son, come back up here." So I come back up. "Now, son, tell me your name again." I said, "I'm better. It is Bridget. I am a girl." Sister Bridget. Amen, everybody. Everybody says, "Amen." That's all I know. They don't care if I'm purple and from the planet Mars. It's just that I'm there and I have soul. It's good. So he said, "Now, Sister Bridget, tell us how you come here tonight." And I said, "I was at one of the lowest, saddest moments I have been in a long time. And I didn't know what to do. But I definitely was looking for more joy and more happiness. And you, group of people here, are some of the happiest, most satisfied, loving people I've ever encountered." And it was the truth. I mean, it was just a vibrant, happy group of people. And I said, "Amen." And I said, "Well, and I want to thank you for including me tonight, and just kind of thanks for being here." Anyway, so very good. Thank you, Sister Bridget. And everybody, welcome Sister Bridget. Make sure she comes back to us on Sunday and get her a Bible. That was the message. So I got to go and sit back down. And he told everybody to greet me, right, when I was done. So I get the sense like, oh yeah, like Catholic Church people will kind of shake hands or something. I get like these squeezy, holdy hugs from these mothers of the church who are so grateful that I was there, and so like, did you come back on Sunday? We're just so blessed that you were here tonight. And somebody get Bridget a Bible. Did you get a Bible? I got it. Yeah, okay. So I was supposed to come back on Sunday. And I did actually, but that's another story. But I left the church that night stunned, right, at what had just happened. Kind of walking out like, whoa. what a weird night, here I started out. But I would say it was a marker of the end of what I would call my void time. And it was a time in which I started to see signs that I would be able to get out of where I was at, that if I trusted my intuition, trusted myself, I would move beyond. I'd kind of done a lot of work, let a lot of stuff go. There were brighter days ahead. So that's my story of starting to move out of the void. And when you start to move out of the void, you get into what I call, we're in phase 5 now, okay back at it. That's how I say it. Okay back at it. I'm going back at it now. A little bumped, a little bruised, few scars, but I think I can do this. And my favorite okay back at it story is that when I was quite overweight and not feeling too great about myself in some ways. This is in June. This is just after the Brother Richard experience. I have my sister's friend really wanted me to play on her basketball team. So it's one of those situations, if you're tall, you know what I'm talking about. Where everyone on the team is short. So they're freaking out. And they're like, we need a tall person. Oh my God. We're all 5'5". So she's like begging me to play, right? And I'm thinking, God, I haven't like moved vigorously in months or years, and now I haven't played basketball probably like 2.5 years. I don't really know. She's like, I will come and pick you up. I will take you there, and I will take you home. Like, please play basketball. I was like, okay, fine. So I take my butterball butt and my shaved head to, I remember, it was Green Lake Indoor Gym, and show up, and of course everybody's thrilled to see me, and I was like, yeah, we got the tall girl, yeah. I kind of have my way down the court first few times, but it's like, it's like riding a bike. It's like, oh, you know how to play this sport. Oh, yeah, dish, whatever, basket, way to go. You're a good shooter. I recognize that. I will throw you the ball. Something like that. So I actually have a good time, right? And of course, that night, I make some friends, new friends, because I didn't really have a lot of friends in Seattle yet. I hadn't really lived in Seattle much. So this one girl, Camille, is like, oh my God, we're putting together a Hoopfest team. You have to be on our team. Tall. So Hoopfest is this 3-on-3 tournament in Spokane. Happens every summer. It's totally fun and totally nuts. It's outdoor basketball. And so it's Camille and like, so basically it's this funny thing happens where it's like, I basically make friends with lots of lesbians. That is the theme of Okay Back At It, because it's all about sports for a while. And I end up in Spokane on like this big gay weekend. It was hilarious. I learned all these things they do to mess with guys when they're like going out. I was like going out with the girls, and it's like, they'll like kind of go up and like, groove with some dudes, and then they'll like turn around and make out with each other. I was like, that was good. And until the guys get all confused and like, yeah, I thought we were like working. No. That was pretty fun. And then from my Hoopfest team, I get recruited onto a rugby team, and then pretty soon I'm on like 2 basketball teams, a volleyball team, and an ultimate frisbee team, like within a year. This is like normal behavior, which would have been normal had I been healthy, but I hadn't been healthy in a long time. So that's my Okay Back At It. There's a few things I think helped me. Once again, following my intuition, and just I was very humbled, and I was very open and very willing to do just about anything. And I don't really want to talk about nutrition necessarily, but I will say that I became much more of a fan of eating when I felt like eating than I probably had ever been in my life, and kind of focusing on giving myself stuff that helped me feel good. And the other thing I want to mention is the theme of rest, because I think that we Americans suck at rest, and that we don't really, I don't think we really honor it in the way we could, and I think that would be healthy for us. The country of India has a saying that the greatest gift you can give your guest is rest, which happens to rhyme in English, which makes me wonder what it does in like Hindi. I was always kind of curious. Can rhyme for you? Because I think about like when you have house guests, you're like, okay, there's 25 things we can do in 24 hours in Seattle. It's gonna be awesome. Let's see at 6 a.m. We have good coffee. It's like, what about just a clean bed and some silence, So, rest. So rest I really like, and I actually have a little song that I wrote back in the day about rest. I'm going to play it for you right now. This is my, what I wish for sometimes, and what I think is hard a little bit. Yeah. Gotta set up myself, excuse me. All right, get this a little closer. Twist this around. All right, so this here song is called Rest Spell. Requires a little capo. Squeaky stool. Toiling. I've been toiling, and I'm ready to rest in the shade, where the air is much cleaner and the grass is much greener, and I can drink a glass of lemonade. Running, I've been running, and I am tired through and through, 'cause it ain't very nice to do things twice as fast as you really want to. Lay here and rest a spell. You so tired, I can tell. Ain't it hard how we put ourselves through hell? Let's rest a spell. Raining, it's been raining. List of things I should've ought to do. So I put up my umbrella, but man, I gotta tell you, I am soaked to the puddles in my shoes. Crying, I've been crying, but it feels pretty good, I gotta say. 'Cause it feels like my tears, tiny droplets of my fears, and it's nice to watch them wash away. Lay here and rest a spell. You're so tired, I can tell. Ain't it hard how we put ourselves through hell? Let's rest a spell. Slower, I will go slower, and I'll gaze at each flower on the way. And I will not just smell it, I will stop and tell it. I am amazed it can grow petals that way. Lay here and rest a spell. You are so tired, I can tell. Ain't it hard how we put ourselves through hell? Would you just lay here? Let go all your fear. You can shed a tear and rest a spell. So we're going to review the 5 phases. Be a test afterwards. So it went from everything's fine to I don't feel so good to total darkness, the tile floor, to the void, and now we're okay back at it. So these are basically the 5 phases of healing that I have for you tonight. You like them. And I want to end with sing along. Okay, good. So I'll get this back over here. Move it. A little habit had formed. And we're going to go back to the Everything's Fine song because, in my opinion, once you get to the end of the whole thing, everything is fine. Even though you've had maybe your challenges, you can get back to everything's fine. And you're maybe a little wiser, a little more confident, a little more relaxed. And so I'm going to sing it, and you guys are going to sing with me, but you can sing it like the second time around or something like that. Just maybe listen the first time if you want. But if you feel like just belting from the beginning because you remember it, which would be amazing, feel free. I'm all about singing it out. I'm not going to do Bob Dylan style, sorry, unless you really... Maybe we'll do a Bob Dylan round. Everything's fine with me today. Oh, I kind of am doing it again. Cross my eyes. Okay, Bridget style. Everything's fine with me today. The sun is shining, I feel okay. I'm just passing the time away because everything's fine with me today. You guys are getting it, I can tell. All right, this time you're in. 1, 2, 3, go. Everything's fine with me today. The sun is shining, I feel okay. I'm just passing the time away because everything's fine with me today. That was awesome! We're not done because we're going to do it Bob Dylan style right now. I can't resist that possibility. I want to hear this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Everything's fine with me today. The sun is shining, I feel okay. I'm just passing the time away because everything's fine with me today. Yeah!
I know, it makes me wish I'd seen it.